So this is what's in the kit that you'll get. The 3 different size little screws. They just have a slightly different head size. You can sort of see it, but you might have to measure it. That one's 7.9 mil at the top. That one's 8.2 mil at the top. That one's 8.5 mil at the top. So you'll be choosing one of those, and you can use the other ones as emergency spares. I need a 4 mil and a 5 mil Allen key. I'm using these two, well, you only need one, torque wrenches, which help us get the correct tension on it. I've got a knife for scraping stuff off. I've got a hammer just to whack the bulb off if that's needed. I've got a heat gun. It doesn't have to be this big. You could possibly get away with a electric heat gun. I've got a Torx wrench for putting the little bolt in. It's the same as the one in the front foil. I've got a drill for cleaning out the holes in the foil, and I'm just using 2 drills to make it a bit quicker, but that's just for screwing out these to do it fast. So what I'm going to do first is check the tightness of these. That is very tight, and we're going to need to use heat on it. That one's way too loose. And then this one, oh, I don't like that. So we're going to get the heat and heat it up a bit. Here we go. Turn the clock off. Okay, so let's do this back one first while it's still hot. This is the one that is most likely to break off because most people tighten it too much, and this one is fine. So now that I'm confident that these are all going to come out, I'm just going to use the drill. Make sure you got it the right direction. Use that to get it out. But so with this, it doesn't have to be that clean. Often dropping in some water helps a bit. Have an old rag. But yeah, this last centimetre we want pretty clean. And I just use my fingernail to get any excess. We'll get this bolt out with a different bit. That one. Now be careful doing this. These are sharp. I'm doing it because I want to be fast. Yeah, these had way too much Loctite on them. So these are going to have all new bolts, but I'm going to show you the process of cleaning the holes. The way I do it, you may not be comfortable with doing this. Firstly, we clean the holes in here, so I've got the right size drill in it, and then I change the drill. So that was a 6 mil drill, and I'm going to a 5 mil drill, and I'm just going to get all the crap out of there. But these 2 front big bolts, I'm just going to really gently get all the crap until I can just see a little shiny spot in the middle. But you might want to just pick that out with something a little bit more gentle. Then I'm going to a 4 mil drill for the back hole. So you need to be fairly confident that you're getting that out. Then, so I'm doing this foil because the other 2 foils I've got here have already cleaned. So I'm just doing this. And very unlikely to scratch the anodizing. It's way harder than the steel blade that we're using. So you can get it pretty easy. But you can be a lot gentler than I am. I've done a few now. I think 170 in the last 5 days. So, and then the same with this, get it resting. just getting the excess glue off. And the other thing that I've got is just getting any crap out of the slot there. A little bit more there that I missed. That's clean, and then we'll blow this out. Okay, so just running my fingernail on that bottom bit. We're going to take some blue Loctite. We're using blue Loctite because we don't actually want these bolts glued in. We want them so they're removable. And blue Loctite is the best way to just give a coating on the bolts that stops the epoxy or whatever glue you're using from sticking. And then I'm just going to screw them in there and that one in there. So we've got a coating of blue Loctite on all the threads. And we're going to do the same on that one. Oops, that's a bit much. I'll just wipe it on there. So looking for a centimetre of cover, so it'll be above and below where the glue is going to be. Right. So and we're now going to take this bulb and we're going to put the new part on. So that looks about right. That looks horribly wrong. So you don't have to get it into the slot at this point. You just want to sit the bolts in and have them sitting out a bit. I'm left-handed, so now I'm going to mix up some glue and we're just going to bolt it on. And that process is important, but we need to mix up the glue first. So this is a Plexus very fast drying thing. I've been using this for this event because I can get people out in the water quickly, but I have about a minute and a half to get this sorted. So we're just going to be real quick. I have to mix up a fair whack of it just so my ratios are reasonable. So normally I've got 10 people here and this much would be fine, but we're doing it for one today. So mixing glue is very important. Getting the ratios right is very important, particularly for epoxy. I think this one is not as critical. It's not an epoxy and it's an acrylic, but they use it for gluing mask tracks on. So you'll notice I'm scraping the surface and also scraping the mixer so that we don't have any unmixed glue on the surfaces. But you generally need to mix more than you think, not just get the colour. You've got to get it really. You see them going both ways, get it off the stick, do it again, go both ways. So given this time I've got, which I forgot to do this first, so I should have assembled this before, but I'm just going to hold those two. So the bolts are out so that I can not get glue on the screws. I'm just putting a relatively thin layer on away from the screws. Getting a reasonable amount up the front here. So if you look at that, you can see that I haven't got any in that area, hopefully. It's still going to squeeze in there, but it's not going to be too bad. So they're going to push the front bolt down, and I'm going to get down here so I can make sure I line up that screw so I'm not putting glue all over the place. And I'm going to quickly tighten this down without my tension wrenches. I'm not doing it too tight at this point because I'm going to use tension wrenches, and then I'm going to put this back bolt in. Always the front two first. This is really just a stabilizer, this one. Now some people are putting a sealant inside here, which is fine. I'm not sure how much difference it makes. I think it's more important that you're washing them every time you use them than having the sealant, but I could be wrong. I was 1973, I was wrong, that's right. So now I'm going to take my tension wrench and I'm going to go to about 6 on both, and then I'm going to get about 7.5 on both. Then I'm going to go to 9, and I'm going to go back to this one because by tightening this one it's actually loosened this one, so this will go a bit further, and then back to this one. So I want to go to 9 until they stop turning. So, and then on this little one I'm going to go to 5. So I already had it too tight. The typical thing is you don't get these too tight enough and this is too tight. I just did exactly that. They weren't tight enough and that was too tight. Very easy to do. So then I'm going to grab a stick and I'm going to just try and get as much away from the bulb as I can. And so again, I'll just get a rag and clean that. Much away from the bulb, so I'm scraping the bulb off first so I don't end up pushing glue onto the bulb. And with this particular glue, you can actually pretty much wipe it off, and as it dries, which will be happening already, you can pretty much rub it off with your hands. It sort of little balls come up. So it makes it very easy to clean. You don't even need acetone. I might just use a wee bit of acetone to do just a final clean off of that surface stuff. Do not get acetone near your tips because you will melt them and then they will not be legal anymore. So that is done. The next part is I'm going to assemble it to here. Now I've got my biggest one, which doesn't quite fit in the hole, but it's very close. And so we're going to go to the next one, which will for sure fit in the hole. And we are going to take our T30 Torx head, which is the same as on the main foil, and screw it in. And that is beautiful without doing any other modifications. Now it is tight, but that's only because it's that screw itself is tight. That will loosen up. So you are welcome to put some tape inside to make sure it has no wobble, but I've never found it to make a big difference, but that's up to you. It is legal. It may not be in the rules yet, but it will be in the next 24 hours in the addendum. That's about it.